What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined by the usual merry band of misfits. We have with us today TeacherKirby.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Who was the hold-up and had to perform CPR on the internet, not that I just threw her under the bus or anything.
Yes.
And then we have our man with the RP, Double O Artie.
Hey there.
And we have our resident Neela with us as well.
What up, all?
So, we've got a good bit of stuff to get through for you guys this week, so let's go ahead and dive into our articles. Now, one thing, we did have this in the notes where we had each individual thing loaded, but apparently they changed the blog itself. So, far as what they gave away this week, leading into the anniversary event itself, had some pretty decent stuff. Now, the one you're seeing in front of you right now is the Day 5 giveaway, but Day 1 giveaway, they gave away a uniform, which I believe was the Intel uniforms, wasn't it?
It was...
Okay.
Formal.
Day 1 was the
formal.
21st century formal wear.
So, the 21st century formal wear was Day 1. The second day was the Intel uniforms. Then, which one was Day 3? Wasn't that the slots?
Day 3 was the ship slots.
And dry dock.
Okay, so Day 3 was the ship slots and dry dock. Day 4, which one was Day 4?
Day 4 was the spec points.
Okay, and then Day 4 spec points.
And crafting.
And
Yep.
yeah.
And then finally, Day 5 was the Tavaro, the Avenger, and the Brel Bird of Prey. All of those T5.
Yes. And you may be wondering, dear viewers, why are we mentioning giveaways that have already passed? Well, we wanted to point out one thing. We do mention things that have happened in the past week. If it's something that we know is going to be expired by the time it gets to you, we do tweet it on our Twitter account, and that is... One moment. Actually, I have to open it up because I forget. That is at Pilot Review Show. All one word. So at Pilot Review Show. So if you sign up for that, you'll get the tweets of anything that's going to expire during the week. So we'll let you know things like that come up. And so feel free to join.
Absolutely. Definitely check out our Twitter, that we can stay up to date with some of the current events in the game, as well as anything going on with the show. And for any notification whenever we go live and Teacher doesn't break her internet, or I don't break my internet. You know, the fun stuff.
So I'm usually the one that tweets.
Yep. But anyways, guys, that's some of the giveaways that they had going this week. Hopefully y'all were able to partake in those. I know for me personally, I was able to get my Braille and the Intel uniforms, so hey, fun stuff there.
Yeah.
But as far as our giveaways goes, we'll have a link to one of the blogs so you can check out that for yourself and see what I was giving away. But moving along to our next big thing, we have the Undiscovered Lockbox, which finally made its way into the game. And we have I believe this is just the first announcement for the ships and everything. We have the Prototype Dreadnought, Tier 6, otherwise known as the Atlas. We have the D9 Dreadnought Cruiser, Tier 6, for the Klingons, which looks like an early Negvar, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then we have the... How do you say that one? The Thrall, whatever that is?
Thride.
Thank you.
Thride Dreadnought Warbird. That's how I would pronounce it.
The Thride Dreadnought Warbird for Romulans, which is pretty much an early form of the D'Deridex, if we had to venture a guess. And one that I know a lot of people were looking forward to hitting the low-buy store, the Tier 6 NX Escort Refit, if I could speak words.
You
So
can't speak
excited.
words.
I'm pulling a Kirby.
Hey. Hey,
But
now.
we also have some other interesting things. We have some various bridge officer manuals that came in the box as well as some of our 23rd century hand weapons. Now, these are the new pulse phaser weapons that we've seen on the show, as well as some of the jellyfish and some other very nice things that came along with all of this stuff. So, very fun things there in the box itself. And then, did we have a blog that had the actual stats of the ships?
Yes, that's a
it.
little bit later.
I think.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
So, we'll get to our stats in just a minute, but one of the big things that we did want to point out as well is the 15% key sale that is currently going on for PC at the moment. And then, I don't know, is this actually going on for the console as well, Neela, or is this just PC?
Nope.
Okay,
PC.
so
Nope.
just PC at the moment. They might get something for you guys. We've not heard about it yet if they have. But as far as PC goes, from this Monday on the 23rd until January the 30th, which is this coming Monday after we filmed this, then you will be able to take a 15% discount on your keys. So, a key pack that would normally cost 1,125 Zen will now only cost 956 for the duration of the sale. So, if there's a particular ship you've been looking for, or there's something you wanted to go for from a lockbox, or you just want to crack keys because you got money burning a hole in your pocket, now's definitely a time to check out some keys.
I don't think I've ever had the money burning a hole in my pocket kind of thing.
Sadly, my keys flipped me the bird. So,
Ah!
yeah, I did get low buy, so that's something, I guess. That's something. And
See?
I did get weapons, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah. See, that's my problem, is my keys generally flip me the bird.
Oh yeah.
And the keys I get with the stipend, they don't really flip me the bird much.
But the next big article we have is the All Our Crusades. This is bringing in some of the Kathy stuff. This is the RP blog, I believe.
Yes, it is.
So, once again, I've been slacking on my RP blogs because, well, I didn't see this one originally. So, anybody want to give some thoughts on this before I make myself look like an idiot?
You want to go first, Artie?
Sure. I would like to say it is a really good read. I'm not going to really spoil the plot for it or anything, but it really gives us a good look on the opposite side of the war zones. Really, we get to see our evil enemy guy that's misusing Protomatter. We get to see how they're thinking, how a few of the named bad guys are, how are they portraying to the story more or less. Seeing how it all works together with the other RP blogs that we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real good read just to see their way of thinking, really.
I agree. It's interesting to see the Zenkathi having some kind of a conscience. Or to see it's the ship, and you get a little bit of an insight into the hierarchy of their government and their people, and it's interesting.
Oh yeah.
It is really interesting, yeah.
And you kind of get a little insight into the religion.
I can see
right
that.
word for it?
Yeah. The culture, really, yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Apparently I've got some reading to do.
Yes, you do, mister.
Mm-hmm.
Slacker.
I'll
do all your
admit
homework.
this one slipped through the cracks on me. But hopefully I won't be as ill-prepared for the blogs this next coming week. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we'll have this in the notes for you guys so you can check that out. As always, these blogs are usually pretty good reads. But moving along to our next big thing, we have the undiscovered lockbox and low-buy ship stats. So we'll begin with our Federation ship, which is in-game actually the one that Artie is floating in, his USS Pickle. I get the feeling I don't want to know why he picked that name, but
I don't want to know either.
but anyway, as far
I
as
might be the one. I'm gonna be the one. Why is it pickle?
It's I was looking on a couple of Wikipedia pages for special ships and stuff like that, and the USS Pickle just popped up, and I was like, I'll go with that. I still haven't really researched the name, but apparently it was in a couple of famous early naval ship battles. So,
sweet,
very interesting.
Interesting. I would not have guessed that, the United States or any other country would have named a ship the USS Pickle.
I was thinking Borg.
I know,
Pickle,
right?
But it works.
Well,
But anyway, all joking aside, for our lockbox stats for our ships, we've got some interesting seating and everything this time around. For our Tier 6 Atlas, everything, we have a base hull of 43,800 starting at level 40, and a base hull of 58,400 starting at level 60. It's a shield modifier of 1.15, a 5-3 layout in terms of weapons. We also have 3 device slots, and for our bridge officer stations, we have a Lieutenant Commander Tactical / Temp Ops, a Lieutenant Engineering / Command, a Commander Engineering, a Lieutenant Science, and a Lieutenant Universal. So, very interesting seating when it comes to this ship. Then we have, for console mods, a 4 Tactical, 5 Engineering, and 2 Science, 8 degrees base turn per second, as some of the more interesting things, and the Dreadnought Mastery Package. It's, any thoughts on the ship so far from anybody?
I've had a little bit of time of playing around with it, especially with the new weapons from the lockbox. It's a very good build. If you have the right speed, you can make it into a battle cruiser, as you would see with, say, other ships that have 5 forward weapon slots. But it worked very well. Runs smoothly, even if you don't want to, be very fast. You can put all, beam weapons and have a good firing arc. It's fine. Have everything fly around you. It's real great.
how is the turn rate on it? Do you feel that it's sluggish or difficult to turn?
I feel like, for me personally, that actually has always flown the Aquarius Escort. I feel like the turning on the Atlas is actually quite good. It's not too clunky for what I'm used to, but it does turn well.
Okay.
But for people that aren't really used to it, I say put a RCS console on there just to give you a little bit more turn rate.
Yeah.
I'm actually one of those weirdos that, when it comes to my Atlas, that, at least for what I use it for anyway, that I actually didn't need an RCS. Which was actually surprising to me, given that it is a Dreadnought and so on. But no, I'm serious. Actually try it. I don't think it's that bad. But, like Artie's saying, if you're not used to it, you might want to throw an RCS on there. But, for me, I've kind of always flying a cruiser anyway, so I'm kind of used to that playstyle and everything. But, so yeah, that's pretty much the Atlas as far as that goes. Now, the console is actually an interesting one.
Oh, yeah.
It provides a passive bonus to all energy damage resistance and directed energy damage. And one thing to be of note is that this console, unlike most consoles that come from the lockbox ships, actually can be used on any other starship, so it is not limited to just the Atlas. So if you've got other ships that you want to try it out on, then you can claim a duplicate of the console or move this one over from the ship itself. So that is actually pretty good. So
Yeah, also I would like to mention that it does have set bonuses from the other two consoles that you can get from the lockbox, as well as the console you get from the NX refit.
Absolutely. So
And
definitely,
from what I've seen, yeah, it works well with all that.
oh yes, definitely some good stuff with the new set bonuses. Now, I've not really had a chance to use them myself yet, but from what I hear, people seem to like it that use it. Now, the other thing for the Starship trait, we have the SIF Shunt. After reaching level 5 in your prototype Dreadnought, you will unlock the SIF Shunt Starship trait. While this trait is slotted, activating any hull healing while at full hull strength will provide a boost to all power levels for a short time, and it can stack up to 3 times. Do you have handy what the exact boost is for everybody, Artie? So I'm not in my Atlas at the moment.
I don't have it up to the tier 5 yet, but as it says for me, when at 100% hull strength, it's a plus 3.3 to all power levels for 15 seconds. So, but it stacks up for 3 times, so that's all I got.
So that's 9.3 to each power level.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
That's a pretty good little chunk of power, considering all around.
Yeah, that
Definitely
is.
not anything to sneeze at. And
Oh yeah.
well, it's
That's
on
also not adding
brain.
the other consoles and all that. So.
Well, it's on the brain. I'm actually going to grab my Atlas if I can find
Now,
it.
the other thing I wanted to note, if you're really looking at this console, is it is available from Romulan and KDF characters via the console pack in the Undiscovered lockbox. So you can get a console pack the ship. So if you're Romulan or KDF and going, they get all the good stuff, you can still get it.
So yeah, I pulled a dunce.
You can still get the console.
My shield's on the other ship and
What
everything.
you do?
Anyway,
Ruh-roh.
so that's going to be interesting getting back to Space Dock. So, the big thing I wanted to do was to give everybody a little preview of the console and everything so you can see the exact stats. As far as the damage resistance that you get, it's an 11.2 damage resist with a 17.8 directed energy damage boost as far as percent-wise. So, pretty decent.
Ooh.
Pretty decent boost.
Yeah, that is. That
Now,
is.
The real thing that I like is actually the console activation itself. To self, you get 40% bonus damage for every second that you're above 80% hull for the full 20-second duration of the ability. Then you also get a 100 bonus damage resist for 20 seconds, as well as 500% hull regen per minute for that 20 seconds. Now, one thing I do want to mention, because some people may read that as you losing the entire 3-part buff if you drop below 80%, and that is actually not the case. The only thing that you can possibly lose if you drop below 80% is actually the bonus damage. So, regardless of whether or not you drop below 80%, you will retain the resistance buff, and you will retain the hull regen buff for the full 20 seconds. So definitely a very good little console to use for that. And then let's see if it will actually... Okay, so we can actually see the set bonuses in case anybody's curious. For the 2 set bonus, it's 33% disruptor and plasma and phaser damage. This is for directed energy weapons. So if you're using any of those 3 energy types, you've got something pretty good to use there. Then we have, for the 3 set, which is the overcharged components, which is 50% recharge speed for all undiscovered lockbox universal consoles. So they cool down a lot faster. And then for the 4-piece, it upgrades the undiscovered console powers, and then it tells a little bit about what each one of them does as far as that goes, which is looking like pretty much a buff increase or a bit of a damage increase depending. So pretty decent set bonuses all around there for that. But continuing on into our D9 Dreadnought, We have at base hull for level 60, 60,400. For our bridge officer stations, we have pretty much the same, it looks like. Actually, the exact same. For the console modifications, this is where it gets a little bit different. We have the 4 tactical, 5 engineering, 2 science, I believe. I think this had... Oh, actually, that is the same too. Good lord. Apparently I'm slipping today. So, base turn rate of 7. Pretty much looks like the same general stats overall, except this one does have a cloaking device. Now, the console for this one is the Disruption Pulse Emitter. It provides passive bonus to control expertise and starship particle emitters. The console may be equipped on any starship, but only one at a time. So this one as well can be equipped on any ship, which is pretty good there. Now, we don't really have, I don't think any of us has this particular console, so we can't really show you the exact bonuses for that. But just mention that it's there. And then this one is the Catastrophic Overload trait. After reaching level 5 in your D9 Dreadnought, you'll unlock Catastrophic Overload. While this trait is slotted, activating jam sensors will cause it to deal high electrical damage and disable targets in a large area of effect when it expires. So, pretty decent trait, especially if you're somebody that likes to use various confuses and whatnot.
Yeah, which I'm thinking about doing a nice disable build with this.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I have a tank build in the works, actually, that I kind of was telling them about. May have to show you guys once I get it up and running and everything, but if it goes according to plan, well, let's just say I'm going to have fun. But finally, for our last ship, we have the Thry Dreadnought Warbird, and looks like the console layout and bridge officer seating is pretty much the same on all of the ships. This one has a base turn rate of 8.5 degrees per second, a shield modifier of 1.1, base hull at 60 is 58,000, so pretty decent there. For the console, this one is the Universal Secondary Shield Projector, provides passive bonus to shield emitters and shield hardness. Console can, of course, be equipped on any ship, just as the others can. Now, as far as the ships for the other factions, if you are somebody playing as a Federation toon, and you want to get one of these other ships, you will have to get it from the console pack from the other stuff.
In the lockbox.
Yeah, in the lockbox, yes. Brain fart.
Yes.
Yep.
But, any further thoughts on just the ships before we take a quick look at the NX?
They all look very nice. I think the console that's going to be the standout is the Fed one. As far as it looks to be, and of course this is on paper, but it looks to be exceptionally good for tanking and DPS. Or at least pretty good. It will help to build your resistances, your survivability, and it's going to give you a bit of DPS. Yeah. The secondary shield projector, if you're a Romulan, I still think the Valdor console is going to do you better if you're a Romulan. But if you are a Fed or a KDF, you might want to look into it. Just saying. Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah. For me, that layered shielding starship trait is going to be a nice thing for a heal build I'm working on.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm echoing everyone now. The Federation console does work very well for DPS and tanking. I've actually used it firsthand, and it's very well rounded. I've also used the secondary shield projector along with it, and it has saved me quite a few times. But just having it equipped, just the console bonuses without even using the power or the ability for it, is real helpful. A couple of bonuses to shield regeneration and power and all that. It just saved me every time I got into a big fight.
Seems like
So
a pretty good.
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. I feel like that with how everyone was leaning towards, it's going to end up being like a very tanky drain build. Is basically what this is going to end up being.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Considering if you want to
Very
use all the
interesting.
consoles too.
Absolutely. But let's
Yeah,
take a.
like-
Let's take a. Oh, sorry.
It's all good. Like I was saying with the layered shielding, I could see that being almost like how the Hazari do that shield. One ship shields the other one,
Oh, yeah.
and have, like, say, I don't know, probably science boost it the tank shield,
Okay.
so the tank can take more damage.
Makes sense. But anyway, let's take a quick look at our NX before we move on to the next big thing. For our NX, I know this is one that a lot of people were actually wanting to see, that there was some scuttlebutt about for a while before it actually released. And it looks like for the model they used what would have been the refit had Enterprise continued for a few more seasons. So, in case anybody's wondering, that's where that model came from, I believe. For the
Yep.
base
Yes, it
hull,
was.
at level 60, you have 45k base hull. So, not the greatest amount of hull ever, but still very workable. You have a shield modifier of 1.05. It's a 5-2 layout, so it is definitely an escort. For the device slots, you have 2 of them. For our bridge officer seats, we have a Lieutenant Tactical / Pilot, a Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Engineering, Ensign Science, and Lieutenant Commander Universal / Temp Ops. So, very interesting seating.
Yes, it is.
Then for our console layout, we have a 5 Tactical, 4 Engineering, and 2 Science with a base turn of 16 degrees per second. And also the Escort Mastery Package, which is the Accuracy, Defense, Weapon Damage, Crit Chance, and then the Preferential Targeting Starship trait. Go ahead and read the trait off. After reaching level 5 in your NX Escort refit, you will unlock the Preferential Starship trait. While it is slotted, activating Beam, Fire at Will, or Cannon Scatter Volley will cause Beam Overload and Rapid Fire to do 50% additional damage for the next 30 seconds. So, kind of an incentive to use the other abilities as well.
Which, personally, I'm not sure how much I like this, because the thing is, beam overload is going to interfere with beam fire at will, for example, and I'm just taking the beams, because it's easier to... Most people are running beams or cannons, and it's a good example. Anyway, so you end up having to either trade off one of your fire at wills, or, or run fire at will as an extra thing to help trigger a increase to your overload, but then your beam fire at will is blocked out, or your beam overload is blocked out when you hit the beam fire at will. It just starts to become a big mess, in my opinion. The only thing I could see this being useful for is a fire at will build that uses an overproc, but that's only if the overproc is affected, which right now we're not sure.
It is not. I can tell you that from experience using traits similar to this. The reason being is
which
that,
my guess is it wouldn't be, but...
Yeah. Now, the reason it wouldn't be is because of the way it reads. It's speaking of the actual beam overload skill in terms of bridge officer powers. It doesn't consider the overproc to be an actual, per se, bridge officer power, even though the effect is pretty much the same. It's a matter of where the source is.
It does read it as a beam overload 1 in the combat log. So...
It does.
I would say testing needs to be done.
It does, but I would attribute that more to the log itself and not per se the beam. But anyway, like I say, definitely, as she's saying, I would say test it out and
Test
everything
it.
and see. But so pretty good stuff as far as our ships and everything go. I know I've got mine sitting in my inventory. Not really had a chance to fly it because I've been working on the Atlas at the moment. But pretty good ships all around. If you have a chance to fly one, I would definitely recommend it. They're definitely something interesting to try out, especially for you Enterprise fans. You'll love the NX, I'm pretty sure, from what everybody's saying. But anyways, let's move along to our next big thing. We have our 7th anniversary blog that's released. Basically just announcing the 7th anniversary, as well as Mr. Stephen Ricosa talking about some of the big things that happened in the past year and how this last year was actually our best one for the game yet. Which doesn't really surprise me in all honesty. But you can see some of his thoughts on that there. Anybody have any thoughts on the 7th anniversary blog?
Well, I think it's important to note that the first thing he says is that Star Trek Online has now had a run equal to any of the television series. How cool is that?
Oh yeah.
You know?
We have
Absolutely.
7
Yeah.
years worth of just plain up stories that have just been built up into such a great game. I'm excited. I'm waiting for
Yeah.
year 8 now. I can't wait.
But yes, most
Yep.
definitely. Now, especially with the new series coming up, maybe we'll see some of that incorporated into the game. It'll be fun to see exactly where they go with some of this stuff, especially with some of the newer stories and everything that's going to be coming out. But definitely been a great run so far, and actually cool to know that we've been around as much as any of the TV series that were around. So
Yeah.
maybe one day in the future they'll make a TV series based off of STO. It'd be kind of fun to see. And it's possible, you know.
That would be pretty cool.
Yes.
We'll have this in the notes for you guys so you can read the thing for yourselves. But moving along, we have our keyring bundle. So for those of you that hadn't heard about the keyring bundle, basically it's a bundle of 20 keys coupled along with one of the instant epic tokens that we've come to call them. Basically, it is a upgrade tech. You slot that on any tech upgrade and it will take it automatically to Mark 14 epic straight out of the gate. So if you're going to buy keys, oh, and one thing I should mention, almost forgot, is that it does not cost a lithium to use this upgrade. And it is pretty much account bound, so any character you buy it on, you can use it on any character for your account. Now, if you're going to buy keys anyway, especially if you're going to buy at least 20 of them, I would definitely recommend the key bundle. That way you get the upgrade tech to go with it, just as a bit of an added bonus. Now, the keyring bundle will be available from the 26th, which was this Thursday, until this next Thursday of February the 2nd, so you've still got some time to pick this up, especially for getting the bonus of the upgrades. But most definitely worth it in my opinion if you're getting keys.
I can agree to that.
If you're going to buy keys, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the upgrade's so helpful, yeah.
Moving along to our next big thing, we have the Of Science Importance Week 1 rewards. Now, this is our featured episode that we have going on in the game at the moment. And for this week, we have the deflector array. I think I've got this in my inventory.
If you need me to, I can link it.
Actually, I do. So, for the basic Mark 12, once you pick it up, it is 17.5 shield capacity, 43.8 control expertise, 26.2 drain X, and 26.2 starship perception. So that's our deflector.
That's a heck of a lot of control expertise.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You said, yeah.
So let me actually throw it on the ship, and we can take a bit of a look at our set bonuses.
About Yeah, jumped out of my chair
Yeah.
when I saw that control expertise.
Yep.
That's a heck of a lot of control expertise.
That's like, yeah, that. I'm like, I need a moment.
Now, control expertise is really good. In case you're wondering why we're wetting ourselves over this, control expertise is really good for ships that want to make a gravity well that will pull orcs in from Neverwinter. It's probably the best way to describe it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, if you want to make a gravity well that when you throw it on the can't talk tonight, on the crystalline entity in CCA and it sucks everything to the middle, your control expertise is going to help you. So this may be something you want to consider for a gravity well build.
And hopefully you don't aggro the Death Star at the same time.
Yes. Oh yeah, of course not. So.
Aggravated Death Star would be even more fun.
Oh, good lord. Of course he wants to fight it.
Now, of course, just remember you have to balance that with your EPGs so the gravity well actually does damage.
Absolutely.
But, yes. But getting your control X up is definitely going to help with the gravity well build. But more on that later.
But anyway, for our set bonuses and everything, to me, they're not... they don't jump out at me as like, ooh, I absolutely have to have this. They're definitely something nice to have. For the 2-set bonus, we have 5 to aux power, and we have 2.5 aux power setting, which increases at low power, and 20 starship perception for the 2-set. For the 3-set bonus, we have 5 engine power, 20 starship impulse expertise, which improves speed and turn rate, and a 50% cooldown on transwarp. So that's pretty decent, I think.
Yeah.
You'd like to get around a lot. For the 4-set bonus, we have the shield loss safeties. It decreases the lockout to 45 seconds. And then micro pulse overcharge. It removes the engine power drain, adds a knockback to affected enemies, and doubles the damage dealt. So these are some abilities that, some of the ones they're mentioning, that you'll have access to once you get the Lucari ship from the event, which Artie is floating around in.
Hello.
Cheer.
Then, I believe he said he... Okay, so we can actually see the warp core that Artie was kind enough to link for us in the chat here. You can see we've got 17.5 control expertise, 5 aux power, and then 5 maximum aux power. And then it adds 7.5% of your aux power to engines as a bonus. We have a tiny bit of a slipstream speed bonus, and a 100% turn rate while in slipstream. So that's definitely
hilarious.
Not something I'm used to seeing.
No, it's not.
And then
it's definitely
the
interesting.
Braden Enhanced Engines Capacitor. It cleanses movement debuffs and repairs offline engines. And it grants 15 engine power for 20 seconds. So if you're got words hard. So if you get caught in something that debuffs your movement speed, this is definitely a one-time get-out-of-jail-free card that can be used, especially if you're not running the attack pattern Omega. This is definitely something that is going to be useful to you. Then we have the Protomatter Field Projector. This is the universal console that comes with the ship. It is 20 to starship hull restoration and shield restoration. And then we have the field ability, which is an AoE heal to allies within 3 kilometers. It's, while active, all allies within 3 kilometers gain 312.5% shield regeneration and 250% hull regen. And this can be activated once every 2 minutes. I believe that's the visual he's using. So if you see that, then you know somebody in there at least is using the Lucari console. Now, our good buddy Timberwolf, he actually has been testing the console out as well, and one thing he told me that was actually kind of shocking is that in the new Zenkethi Q, one of them, he was able to heal the starbase from 46% to full. And Y'all know
Oh.
just how much health those things actually have. So that, to me, was pretty impressive.
Yes, it is.
But in the coming weeks, we'll actually have our engines as well as our shields that we can take a look at, and we'll be able to obtain. But as far as our featured episode goes, you can start it at level 10 and run it on any character. And once a week, you'll be granted a reward box where you can take a universal tech upgrade or a specialization point that is bound to account. So,
And it
Oh, go
is
ahead.
important to note that you'll only be able to run it on a level 10 character for as long as it is a featured episode. Once it's not a featured episode anymore, it will only be accessible to level 60 characters. So, run it now on those lower level tunes before before the end of the month.
absolutely, that is most definitely a good note there from Teacher Kirby. But, anyways, moving along to our patch notes. This is for the PC. You can see we've got a pretty healthy set of notes, basically introducing a lot of our new stuff for Season 12. We have our Of Signs and Portents. We have our Zenkethi Battle Zone. We have the new Gravity Kills and Zenkethi Front Queues. We also have our Lucari Restoration Initiative reputation. So now's definitely your chance to go out there and get those Lucari items, start working towards that. It will take a little bit for you guys to get it up there because of nobody having the sponsorship tokens yet.
Specialization, the sponsorship, yes. So it will take 40 days if you're diligent and are flipping it over once a day. It will take you 1,225 marks. So if you're one of those that, wants to make sure, that's how much you're looking at because you don't have a specialization tone. Or specialization
Token.
Token, thank you. So after that, once you can make the specialization tokens for all your other tunes, which will cost 100 each, every other tune will then need only 625 marks to complete it, and it will only take 20 days.
Yep. Now,
Any questions?
it is definitely from the triple testing that we did. I am highly going to recommend the Lucari specialization, especially if you love tanking and if you like the Polaron-based weapons. Definitely going to be worth it. But far as
I'm also going to say
oh, go ahead.
this reputation for if you also like to make semi-drain tank builds.
Ah, yes.
Most definitely.
Or if you just like to make drain builds at
This
all,
too.
this may be something you should look into.
Yeah,
And
when
again,
I
we're still looking at it on paper because,
Yep.
it's not available yet.
saw it,
See?
everything on this reputation, I'm like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
my science is gonna have fun with this.
We see you like drain builds, so have some more drain for your drain.
Yes.
The other big thing that we have is actually a new crafting school, which is the Kits and Modules Research School. So we finally, for those people that have wanted it, me included, we have the ability to create our own kit modules and our own kit frames from a crafting school. Now, the other big thing that this also introduced is a new tech upgrade that we'll have to use, which is the one specifically for kit frames and kit modules that comes with this new school. And with the introduction of this new school, you can no longer upgrade kits and kit modules with the old ground tech
Ground.
upgrades. So
Yep.
now you will have to use these new tech upgrades specifically. Universal kits such as the Omega Tech upgrades, the Instant Epic tokens, and others will still work on this as normal. The only ones that you now have to change over to is the kits and modules school specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the other
And-
things... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other thing to note is the Omega scanning event is back.
Most definitely.
And
Yay!
yep, and you will have to go to Q and get your little Omega scanning thing to go
You
to
don't
your
have to
3
do
places
that.
a day to get your 40 things for the event ship. To get your 40 little vouchers for the event ship, you do have to do it. But if you don't want to, if you want to skip that, you're like, I'm getting on, you know, I'm just not into it, or I'm paying it with Lobby. You can still go to the individual areas. There are a lot of them. And you can scan the Omega particles all day long if you wish. They are very good to collect because that is how you make the Omega Tech upgrades. You may hear people raving about these. They're very, very good. They cost no dilithium to use. They double the amount of tech points
It's
of a
quadruple.
superior?
Yep.
Quadruple, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Quadruple the amount of tech points from a superior upgrade, and they quadruple the amount of quality upgrade chance. And they cost, again, I'll say it, no dilithium. So these are amazing things to have. Even if you don't want to make the Omega Tech upgrades, save these things for later in the year and sell them for a lot of VC.
Also, another thing.
Just saying.
Also, another thing for talking to Q, you don't have to go to him on ESD or Chronos or whatever. You just have to hit J, I think it is.
Yes,
Or
call
what
up
if-
your journal.
Yeah, I call it Journal Hail Starfleet or Hail the Academy. On the left overview, where it has the little what's available, you click 7-year anniversary, hit Hail, and then that brings up Q, and you can grab the daily that way.
Nice,
Definitely
thank you, Neela.
Definitely some good information from our resident Neela. But some of the other things that we do have is we have an expanded alpha quadrant with a bunch of new sectors to look at. And including one thing that I found interesting was the warning buoys for the First Federation. So there is one little area of the map we actually can't get into yet. So I'm kind of wondering
have the
how
little
they're going to
floating
play
boxes.
that off.
I don't know.
I'm gonna try.
I
Well,
feel like
somebody's
they're-
got to
yeah.
get in there because we get Tranya.
Fair point, fair point.
Good point. Yeah.
Hmm?
They probably put just push it over the border and then leave.
Yeah, good point.
Prohibition in space.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes, definitely some pretty good general fixes to everything, resolving a few issues. They did, in some cases, update the lighting that was having some issues. We also have some new content stuff here, where they fixed a bunch of the different bugs and whatnot. Quite a healthy list of things that involves the systems changes, a few known issues still there. But as far as the other notes and everything, is there anything that stands out to you guys in particular?
I can find it.
We'll give our folks a minute to find their notes and everything.
We're sorely ever. Don't know.
One thing that stood out for me was the second thing on the systems resolved an issue where carrier fighters would become unresponsive when they moved out to a certain range. That was kind of a big deal, because, yeah, it's like, oh, we're out 5 kilometers from you. We're just not going to do shit.
Makes sense. What about you, Teacher Artie? Either of you have anything in particular that stands out?
I know, let's see, where was it? The Zenkathi Battle Zone has been added. That's definitely looks interesting. It is currently bugged, however. So make note of that. Oh, I'm looking. No, I think you covered most of it.
Okay. Now, one thing I do want to make note of as far as the Zenkathy Battle Zone from it was actually one of my fleet mates that was telling me about the triple patch notes. They spotted a fix for that in the patch notes. I don't think that's quite made it to holodeck yet, but I would say within the next little while it should make it to holodeck, and we should have the issue with that fixed. But like I say, pretty decent bunch of patch notes. Everything. We'll have this in the show notes for you guys, so you can check that out. See some of the different stuff that they added, and whatnot. But I suppose we should.
Yes, they are quite extensive, but yes.
Oh yeah.
Touch base on the next thing here. We have the Agents of Yesterday is finally coming to the console players. But
Yay!
so if you've been looking for some of the new stuff, been wondering when is this going to come to consoles, on February the 14th for Xbox One and PS4, you guys will have access to the Agents of Yesterday and the Artifacts expansions. So definitely some good stuff in the future for you guys. But
Now, I'm wondering, I was talking to my cousin about this today. He's playing on the Xbox. I'm wondering, are they going to have the same event that they did with us where you can make a Agent of Yesterday tune and unlock all these account-wide rewards like we had on PC?
that is a fantastic question, actually.
That is.
Now, one of the big things that the reason why me and TeacherKirby wanted to, touch base on that, I guess, is some of these account-wide rewards are actually fairly hefty, very, very good things to have. One in particular is, once you unlock it, any reputation item that you purchase, this is things like the shields, the warp core, the engines, instead of starting out at Mark 12 very rare, they would start out at Mark 13 ultra rare for any character on your account. So I'm really hoping that they do bring in the Agents of Yesterday event like that, because that would be a very, very big deal for consoles to have. But
Exactly, right?
And all that deal will be able to help me at least get the lifetime.
I don't think we actually have any information on this yet. I'd say the closer we get to this, we'll see if they actually plan on doing the event. If they do the event, we'll definitely get that information out to you guys, because that's going to be a huge deal, and the event itself can only be completed for a certain amount of time, as far as creating the character goes. But
what I mean by that is making the character. Once you make the character and get so far, you'll be fine. You'll be able to complete all the quests and stuff.
Yep. But yeah, that's the biggest thing as far as the event goes, is that you can only create the characters for a certain amount of time, but once the character is made, if it takes you until the next 30 years to get it done, if the game's still around by then, you'll still be able to complete the event. But the next big thing we have for consoles is a Tholian Red Alert weekend. I believe this one is still running at the moment.
Yes, it is.
This will be going until the 30th, which is this Monday. So now's the time to go out there, shoot you some Tholians, and get some decent XP with it too.
Yep, go kill Tholians.
Next we have the Fleet Special Holding Unlocks, which is some more fun stuff for our console players out there, which is basically some cosmetic stuff you can get for the star bases and whatnot that will help you spruce it up and bring out your inner space Barbie.
Yeah, like today, like this one is plants, consoles, weapons, panels for the star bases, and statues and a special symbol.
Now we should note as well that we do mention this every time whenever they bring out a project like this, but in order to actually complete the project, the only thing you have to do is have it queued. It doesn't have to be the active one, but it just has to be in the thing, ready to go, in order for you to be able to do the project. Now, whenever this cycles out and everything, on the 9th, as being the featured project, you will still be able to run it provided it was queued. It's not going to take that away from you. So we just want to make that clear whenever we see projects like this, because that is a common question that we get. But definitely check this out, spruce up your starbase a little bit, and make it look a bit better. Or eventful, or however you want to say that. But anyway, moving along. We have our second set of patch notes.
Deja vu for PC as well.
Absolutely. And it seems like for our second set of patch notes, they actually did get that patch out to the battle zone that they were talking about. That says, resolved an issue that was causing the Zenkethi battle zone to not reset once the final boss was defeated. So apparently they did get that fixed. So that's definitely a good thing there. We have a couple of other fixes as well. One of the updates is that the anniversary event ship projects, all the previous ones that is, now accept 7th anniversary vouchers instead of 6th anniversary. So if you're somebody with an old anniversary ship previous to this one, you didn't have it done, maybe you missed it by just a couple of marks and everything, now you'll actually have your chance to load some new anniversary marks in there and hopefully be able to finish that off. And the final big thing that I see, at least as far as my stuff goes, is resolved an issue where Terran marks would be listed as 0 in the Assets tab when the character actually possessed Terran marks. So,
yeah.
The big thing there to get from that one is they didn't take your marks. Your marks were never gone. It was just a very, very bad display error that was causing it to appear as though you had no marks when in actuality they were there the entire time. So that is definitely something that wanted to point out. But any quick thoughts on this?
People were really upset about the Terran marks thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can understand.
Very, very upset. Yeah, they definitely thought that they had taken them. However, there are other areas or other ways to display the Terran marks. And when they looked at those, like if they opened up their reputation tab and they went to that reputation, like they were going to make something or complete a project, they were there. So they could find them other ways and see that yes, they were still there. However, in the assets tab, they were displayed as 0. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We handled more than one freaking out bit, so yeah.
But anyways, we'll. Oh, go ahead.
I just to mention for some people that at least a few RPers have wanted me to mention this. In the Lobby store there was the Type 2 phaser compression pistol that came out with like in addition to the new ground weapons and such that came in the lockbox. It has been removed due to some type of bug in the Lobby store for it, so it will most likely be back, just to let everyone know.
Okay, definitely some good information there. But we'll have this in the show notes for you guys as well, so you can check out both sets of patch notes and everything. But moving along to this week's budget build, we have actually a bit of a challenge. That
was
ship sale.
Oh, ship
there
sale.
was one more you missed.
The ship sale. Apparently, I did not pull it up in the notes. But
oh no!
There you go.
For a console.
It's for console. So the consoles this weekend have a 20% ship sale. So what that means is from Friday the 27th until Tuesday the 31st at 9 a.m. Pacific time, all ships are 20% off. This is for Xbox and PlayStation 4 only. So not only do you enjoy a discount on ships, but also fleet modules, dry dock slots, and ship upgrade tokens as well. Alright, so Bundles on the C-Store also have a discount. So now is the time to grab the ship you've always dreamed of commanding. So the TLDR, ships in the C-Store are 20% off. This includes bundles. It includes, fleet modules, and dry dock slots, and upgrade tokens. There you go.
Now, one thing that I should mention that the blog does touch on, and I'm glad that they didn't let me forget this one, because, massive brain fart. But anyway, if you purchase a Tier 5 ship during this particular promotion, such as, say, you purchase the Dyson bundle for all 9 of the old Dyson Science ships, you will receive a upgrade token to take the ship on to Tier 5U. Now, this is for every ship that you purchase that is at a Tier 5, so if, say, you did purchase the big Dyson Mega Bundle, then you would receive 9 upgrade techs to use on the ship specifically and everything. Those will appear actually in the promotions tab, so be sure to claim those if you purchase a Tier 5 ship. But now is most definitely the time to look at investing in ships, especially with such a good discount and everything.
Yep, and it will help you with Admiralty, which will help you get those tech upgrades, the spec points, or the 10,000 deal from doing the Klingon one.
Yep.
Absolutely. So definitely take out something for a spin. Be sure to fill your shipyards up, all that good stuff. It is definitely well worth the investment. But anyways,
yes.
Now that my brain fart has concluded, we can now actually move on to our budget build like
yes,
we're planning to. Now this week, I'm actually doing something a bit different from the normal. I was actually issued a bit of a challenge by Artie and some of the RP guys, everything. Now, I've done a lot of work with the mid-range budgets, but this time we did something different. And this was a bit of a bare bones challenge. Now, this was for a specific ship, but the bare bones challenge involves essentially a budget that somebody newer to the game might have. Maybe they're a fresh level 60, and they just don't really have a lot of resources to work with. Not nearly as much as somebody with a mid-range budget would have to work with. For our EC spending limit, we assumed a limit of 1 million energy credits and 8,000 dilithium, or a single day's worth of refined lithium. Now, for some other stuff as well, we also assumed that because they're newer to level 60, that maybe they've not really worked their reputations a lot yet. Maybe they're just at maybe Tier 2, Tier 3. They've worked a little bit of it, but they don't have the active abilities yet from Tier 5. So, active reputation abilities, we didn't use this go-around. But, as far as the ship itself, the one that I was challenged to use was a Tier 5U exploration cruiser. This is the old Galaxy class, and one of the ones that you can get if you're a lifetime member, everything. So, very fun ship. As far as our weapons go, we have the beam arrays from the Everything Old is New mission, which is where the majority of our missions came from. These are DMG × 2 phasers, and we went with phasers because RP factor. And we did also include the Quantum Phase beam array that comes from the Stormbound mission. I believe it's Stormbound, ain't it? Or is that Sunrise?
I get them confused.
Sunrise.
It is Sunrise. If I would look at my own notes, that might help.
Yes, it would.
Yes,
I always get them confused. I know one is for the weapon set, one is for the defense set.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Then for our shields or engines, deflector, that stuff, you've seen me use these a good bit before. We have the Soul Defense set from the Midnight mission, and we also have the Temporal Phase Overcharged Core that comes from the Butterfly mission. Now, the Soul Defense set, we've used that quite a bit, mentioned the bonuses a good few times. Basically, by having the 2 set equipped, you get the equivalent of a Neutronium armor and free damage resistance. And if you're using the 3 set, you get the big time AoE heal. that heals you for a massive chunk of your health, as well as any allies that are within a certain range. So it'll heal a few people there as well. Then the Temporal Phase Warp Core, what makes it so good is the capacitor that it gives. Now, if you were here for the Delta Recruitment event, you've probably heard of a little device called a Temporal Negotiator, which, whenever you use the device, it cuts your bridge officer cooldowns in half for the duration. And with the Temporal Phase Warp Core, you get that in the form of a Warp Core capacitor. So very, very nice to have.
I have to cut you off right there. Don't you? And with that tempo negotiator, it can save you money on hotels.
most definitely. Most definitely. But as far as our weapons go, that's pretty much what we have for that. For our devices, we actually have the Subspace Field Modulator that comes from the Skirmish mission. That's a mission that you can do on any faction. And once you run that, you can get the Field Modulator or a couple other nice odds and ends. For our engineering consoles, we incorporated the console that comes with the ship, so the saucer separation. Now, we did spend a little bit of EC to pick up a conductive RCS console. That was about $139,000, I believe. I've got the exact calculations in my notes. Then we have a... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, notice it is still Mark 12 very rare, so it does not have any mod on it. That's why he got it so low a price.
Absolutely. Then we have our EPS flow regulator. This is a blue Mark 11. That was only about 50,000 EC, so not too terribly bad. Then we have a quantum phase converter. This also comes from the Sunrise mission and is part of the 2 set for the quantum phase set. This will also grant a bit of phaser damage as well, so essentially a 4th tactical console. Then, where we spent most of our dilithium actually is in the science consoles on our fleet. These are 3 of the plasma exploders from the Embassy with the Drain X mod. Now, these are gearing towards, later on, a plasmonic leech and everything for the ship. Now, these are the Mark 10s, so they're very cheap, easy to obtain. The only thing you'll need to do is have a little bit of fleet credit, but if you run 1 or 2 fleet alerts, maybe a quick crystalline to get some fleet marks, you should have most of the credit off of just that. But as far as these consoles go, these will assist in your tanking, obviously because they boost your threat. But very good to have. And you can get them pretty cheap. These were about... Let me check the notes. The total cost for the dilithium was $6,575, so each one of the consoles was 125 dilithium and 5,000 fleet credits, so very, very cheap.
Very cheap.
And it appears I listed the wrong thing there, but dilithium cost is roughly the same. I had particle focusers when I meant to put the exploders. Okay, so slight brain fart there, but
Fail.
Yeah.
He always fails.
Well, more so
Always.
I get in a rush and I half don't think. Which is the theme with me. But for our tactical consoles, we have the directed energy distribution manifolds. These actually come from the Agents of Yesterday arc, specifically...
Don't those come out at Mark 12?
Originally, they do, but the character I got them on was just, what do you call it? Level, or below level 60. So if you're below level 60,
okay.
they will come out at 11. If you are level
Mark
60,
11.
they will come out at 12s. So just to
That
clear up the
explains it.
confusion. But, yeah. So this is from the Terminal Expansion mission, and... yeah. Terminal Expanse in yesterday's war arc. I can't words tonight. And the big thing to mention with that particular story arc is you will have to complete the previous missions before you will even be able to see the Terminal Expanse mission. The big catch with that is, if you look at, say, the Klingon War, you can see pretty much every mission that's available, even before you're at a high enough level to get to it. With yesterday's war, that's not the case. As you can see here on this character, I've not yet completed some of the missions, so I can't actually see Terminal Expanse, but rest assured it is there, and I did want to mention that way people don't freak out. But anyways, that's where we got our tactical consoles. Those are for plus beam damage only. So you will perhaps later on want to get consoles that more specialize in your chosen energy type. And speaking of which, with the new Lucari mission that we have of Signs and Portents, you can actually get a Mark 12 phaser relay from that mission. So we now actually have a source for phaser-specific consoles that we did not have when we started planning this build. But moving along, we'll take a quick look at our skills. Now the skills, obviously, it's pretty much the same thing I've used before. And I use this particular build a lot for skills because it's one I found a lot of success with that does me pretty well. You can see the Lieutenant and Lieutenant Commander rank skills. And then we have Commander and Captain. And then finally our Admiral skills. Now, you don't have to use this exact build. If you want to use something different, you can. I personally don't use the ultimates. I feel a lot of times you have to give up far too much in order to justify their use. Again, that is purely my personal opinion. If you want to use one of the ultimate abilities, you absolutely can. And they're definitely fun to have and can be very nice. But again, that is purely personal preference for me.
And
oh, go ahead.
Refresh my memory. Emit unstable warp bubble.
That is from
I don't
the
remember.
Delta Flight mission. That is the one
okay.
that debuffs damages and everything.
Thank you. No, I just couldn't remember where you get it from.
Yep. For our specializations, we have Pilot as the primary, Strategist as the secondary, and we have Pilot for the immunities that it gives, as well as some other nice buffs. And we also have Strategist to assist with temporary hull, as well as some other very nice things that we have. But moving into our bridge officers, take a quick look at this. Now, the seating for the Tier 5U Galaxy class is a bit limited, and what you can use, it's 3 engineering seats, a science, and then a tactical. So pretty much what you see as far as those seating is all that you have to work with. For the Lieutenant Tactical seat, I went with a beam fire at will and an attack pattern beta, because we didn't really have a lot of options as far as tactical goes. So that's what we went with. Then for our Commander Engineering, we have a Engineering Team 1, a Reverse Shield Polarity 1. We have an Emergency Power to Weapons 3. Now you will need to purchase that from the exchange or have an Engineering Captain train it for you. That cost was taken into account in the notes. Then we have our Emit Unstable Warp Bubble 3. This actually comes from the Delta Flight mission. And this is the ability that has no hard upper limit on the amount of enemies it can hit. It only requires them to be in range, and whenever it hits them, it will debuff their damage by 42% and their turn rate as well. So definitely a very good oh crap I'm about to die button. Then for our Lieutenant Commander Engineering, we have a Duplicate Engineering Team 1, a Directed Energy Modulation 1, and an Aceton Beam 1. Then for our Incident Engineering, we have a Duplicate Emergency Power to Weapons, this time at rank 1. And as far as engineering powers go, we did use Aceton Beam because there really wasn't too much else we could put there due to the limited seating of the ship. For our Lieutenant Science Station, we went with a Science Team 1 and a Hazard Emitters 2. The Science Team to regen our shields a little bit, the Hazard Emitters to also buff the damage resistance for a temporary time, as well as the heal over time that it grants. So kind of limited in terms of the seating, but overall you can still do fairly good even with just what this ship gives you.
Yeah,
And
would you like to tell him how good you did?
I was actually surprised by this and everything.
So were we.
One of the things that we did do was we took it into an ISA and everything. And I made sure to save the file and everything because it actually shocked the living daylights out of me. So we go into an ISA, and this thing actually parsed 15K with just this limited amount of stuff that it had. And that's with 2 other people that were over 100K in the run. That, to me, was shocking. I did not expect that at all. I thought 9K, 10K maybe, but not 15.
Yeah, that's about what I was expecting it. Well, 9 to 10K, maybe a little over. And he parsed 15, and I was like, oh! Okay.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
That was
And
definitely
we have
surprising.
We have a question in chat
Okay.
for you. Jazz Band is curious why not Engineering Team 3. They usually run it at 1. Works well enough, which they mean they usually just run emergency powder weapon 1 and not 3.
Okay. That is a good question. Emergency power to weapons 3 will give a bit of, not only a bit of an extra boost to all your powers or to all your damage, but it will also give more weapon power. So whereas emergency power to weapons 1 will give a lower boost. So weapons 3 will give 16.6 all energy damage bonus for 30 seconds and 37.5 weapon power setting. Whereas if you go with emergency power to weapons 1, you're going to get only 10% all energy damage boost for 30 seconds and only 22.5. So if you're looking to max out your DPS, that makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And on another front as well, the argument could be made, why didn't I use the Engineering Team 3 on the Lieutenant Commander seat? Because I do have another spot to where I could theoretically have ran Engineering Team 3 and the Emergency Power to Weapons 3 and had both of them. Now, the reason I didn't do it in that case is because, obviously, I wanted to have a duplicate engineering team. But the big thing is the fact that I wanted to use the Aceton Beam because that allowed me an extra attack ability. Whereas with the rank 1 engineering abilities, you don't really have that. You don't really have an ability that you can work with as far as that goes. Now, Aceton Beam itself, no, it's not the greatest ability ever, but it's still a radiation damage ability that I can throw out there on the enemy and is a little something extra that you can have. But definitely a very good question, Jazz Band, and we thank you for asking.
But on the topic of Aceton Beam,
okay,
I was playing around with that one time and made a almost not like a dream build, but made a build around Aceton Beam.
Okay.
With it being nothing but radiation damage, or best as I could. And I was able to get a 20k, 22k, just from radiation damage.
That's not bad at all, actually. But, and the other thing that I will mention that will shock a lot of people with this build is I actually did not use any duty officers at all. So there were no duty officers used with the build, and it clocked 15k. But most definitely, as far as ships go, we want to point out, you can do a lot of good work on a budget, regardless of what your budget is. So even with 1 million EC and just 1 day's worth of dilithium, if you have a ship that you want to use, such as, in this case, the Tier 5U Exploration Cruiser, you can still do respectable damage. You can still do quite a bit with this ship in particular. And the other big thing is it surprised me in Starbase 24, because that was the other facet of this. How well can it tank?
Mm-hmm.
And it actually held up pretty well. So, really not a lot of complaints there. As far as the damage goes, and everything, because there is a lot of enemies, it's not going to be the quickest killing thing out there, like some of the mid-range budgets might be, but it's still definitely respectable in Starbase 24 as well.
Yeah.
But
It is, and it is important to note that part of the DPS that we're talking about him getting comes from his ability, his flying, his knowing when to activate things and where, and that does take time to develop. So, that's part of it. It should also be, and I'd be willing to bet that the other important thing is that he is running in threatening stance, which is cooling down those 2 tactical skills. So they're very close to global uptimes.
most definitely. And like I say, that is one of the big things as far as damage dealing and everything. I like to think of it this way. Pretty much any ship in game is purely a shell. All ships in game are purely shells, with various properties being their bridge officer seating and their console mods. What you load the ship with and how you fly it determines how well it's actually going to work. Because you could have 2 people with the same ship, the same gear, the same loadout, and depending on who is able to fly the ship better, can determine who deals more damage and everything. So, rest assured, pretty much any ship you pick will be able to deal a good bit of damage. I like to think of the breakdown as it's about 20% gear, skills, and setup, and the other 80% is purely on the pilot. But anyway, like I said, that's the breakdown I would give as far as that. But we'll have the link to this build in the notes in case you guys are kind of curious, want to check it out for yourselves and everything. But and if y'all have any, go ahead.
Sorry. I've just got a message that it has been RP'd approved.
Sweet. Sweet.
Nice.
So we've met our challenge to the RP guys out there. But
Yay!
I should actually take the quick chance to mention, since this was originally a challenge from the RP guys. Now, if you have a ship you would like to see us do a budget build over, feel free to submit that to us. Say, hey, this is what kind of budget I've got to work with. This is the ship I want to do it with. What can we do for that? Maybe you want a science ship, maybe you want a tank, maybe you want something more along the DPS realms. Whatever it is, let us know. Let us know how your budget is, and we'll try to come up with something for you. But, anyways, moving to the bug corner.
Before you do that,
okay.
I just want to put this in there because we kind of forgot. Since Cryptic did promo email, we just want to make sure everyone goes into their account and make sure you have the boxes selected where you will get promotional emails sent to your email. So hopefully you might get one. And also fill out your whole profile on the website.
Yes, so right, because Cryptic sent out the Tier 6 Sovereign promotional email. You got a Tier 6 Sovereign and 10 spec points. Yep, and 10 spec points. So if you're seeing all your friends get these emails and you're going, well, why aren't I getting them? One of the reasons may be that you told Cryptic, don't send me promotional emails. If you did tell them that, they cannot legally send you any of these things. So the place where you can get it is kind of weird. You got to go into your account, under your profile, and you have to go into your settings, and then language preferences. And there is a line at the very bottom with a box. If it is not filled with a blue square, that's why they're not sending anything to you. Make sure it's checked so that Cryptic can send you promotional emails. Okay? I actually falled into that category where I fell into that category where I wasn't getting them because I did not have that box checked. And as soon as I unchecked it, the next email they sent out, I got one. Yay!
Now, the other thing we should mention
Made
as
this.
well is that when they do emails like this, they don't typically give the criteria out for who they send it to. So you might get it, you might not. But at the very least, you want to make sure, as teachers saying, that you do have that box checked. That way they actually can send you the emails in the first place. It's not that they don't want to send you emails, it's just that, as she's saying, if you don't have that box checked, they legally can't do it. Because
And I'm going to be honest, guys. I unchecked those boxes because most places will spam you with these promotional emails. Cryptic does not.
no.
I'll be honest, they don't. They're very good about it. They don't send you much at all, so you're not hardly going to notice it.
Send emails out for big updates like new seasons, for events like summer event, winter event.
Right.
They send out promo emails, and there's another time they send out an email, but I'm not thinking of it. Usually, you get emails from them about 4 times. If there's all 4 of those in 1 year.
Right, so
Usually
about once every 3 months.
Usually the major events is what they'll send stuff out for. And everything. But aside from that, you don't really get a lot. You may get the occasional promo thing saying, hey, if you go here, you put this code in, you'll get a free ship or whatever it is that they're giving out. But definitely check that out, guys, because we do want you all to be able to get some of the promotion items, especially if you're somebody that may not normally have a lot of stuff that you can get access to. So definitely something there. But as far as that goes, we will have some of these things in the notes for you guys. You can check all this stuff out. But moving along to the bugs corner finally, there's a couple of interesting ones that I had this week and everything. One of the ones actually involved the new mission, specifically of Science Importance. At one point, there was a fleet mate of mine. I felt sorry for the poor girl. It actually glitched out on her, and she could not finish the ground portion of the map, specifically where you're fighting in the cave. The enemies never stop spawning, and the console itself never actually turned off. The Lucari person was just standing there, and she wasn't deactivating the console. And the only way we were able to clear the mission was to actually have her beam out of the mission and then go back in there with 2 of us from the fleet. But that's one of the more interesting ones that we had. A couple others are just well, actually that's pretty much the interesting one. I didn't really have too much this week, but definitely if you are seeing some major bugs, if you are seeing some major issues, then please speak up and say something on the bug forums. You know, the bug hunters do read the forums, the devs do read the forums, so that's where actually most of our reports as bug hunters come from, is from other players like yourselves. If you do see something, you know, feel free to go on there and say, hey, I'm seeing this, it's on the PS4, this is what it is, and everything. And that's where that is as far as the bugs and everything. Feel free to tell one of these guys, they can get it to me. Feel free to track me down in game if you know my @tag and everything. But as far as the bugs, that's pretty much what we've got there. And as they're saying, one thing we do see is somebody wondering how to submit builds and everything. I believe TeacherKirby has our information for that.
Well, I was going to say Neela's on it, but you can definitely submit a build idea if you want on the YouTube channel, or even via Twitter, because we look at that. Actually, I look at that on a regular basis. I look at the Twitter. I think Darkblade here looks at the YouTube more. But yeah, that would definitely
And
get
I
to
also
us.
threw out our
Yeah.
at handles.
Yeah,
Okay.
or through our ad handles in game.
Yep. But like I say, feel free to contact us and everything if you do have a build. If you want to submit a video for your piloting and everything, and say, you know, well, I'm doing this in ISA. How do I improve my piloting to get a little bit more damage and everything? Or I'm doing, you know, this type of build. You know, what do you recommend? That type of thing. And we do. That is why we're here, is to help you guys out. You know, get you some information about some of the latest happenings, yes, but also to help with the piloting and everything. But moving along to our next segment, we actually have from TeacherKirby the Changing Your Bridge Officer Skills video. Something that
Yes.
should be able to
So-
help a good bit of people.
It's one of those things. I know that if you're not new to the game, you're going to go, oh my god, this is so simple. You're right. But there are a lot of people coming in, especially on consoles, that are new to the game and they don't realize that, hey, you don't have to live with, you know, your bridge officers coming with torpedo high yield and you can never use it because you only use beams. You know, so what are you going to do with it? You can change that and train your bridge officer in Fire at Will 1 or whatever you want. That is a tactical skill. You know, so this video shows exactly where to go to talk to the guys to buy the manuals. This shows how to change, or how to how to train the bridge officers in the skill, and then shows you how to then assign that skill so it is on your bridge officer and you can use that skill for your ship. So it may be something simple for us old timers, but for the new timers, it's one of those things that I mean, when I first came to the game, I had no idea you could do this. I had to be shown.
Definitely a
Yeah, so
informative topic and everything, especially for the new people, which I actually did have a recruit we had to explain this to the other day, so definitely very relevant to us and everything. But
yes.
so we'll have a link to Teacher's video. Definitely check that out and everything, especially maybe if, like us, you have somebody new to the game and everything, you want to explain it to them, you'll have a reference there for Teacher's video. But moving to our final segment of the evening, we have Artie with the RP Corner and Protomatter, Cool or Abused? Take it away, Sir Artie.
Okay, so a couple friends of mine decided to come to me and go, hey, since the Tinkesi are around, and they're close to where we roleplay at, are they going to be bothering us anytime soon? Well, I couldn't give them a straight answer since I GM some of that, so what I was basically allowed to give was other ideas that we don't have, but other people may use from what we've heard. Protomatter is not strictly with the Kessie. I can never pronounce her name. Whatever. But basically, not everyone has to go the whole dramatic route of I'm going to use Protomatter to wipe clean a bunch of places, like what we see in the current story so far. Some people have gone with the route that their special player race that they've made, just like in a previous episode I talked about how to make a species. Some people decide to go, I'm going to be different and use protomatter reactors, as we see in the in-game canon currently with the Lucari. They use protomatter, but more to what I'm going to be talking about. Protomatter is more or less common, but bad to use. as we've seen it in multiple times, and not only in the movies, but comic books and all that, Protomatter pops up. Everyone decides to go, something terribly wrong here. We need to shut this down. As we see in, say, Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan, for instance, the Genesis device had Protomatter, I believe.
Yes, it did.
All right, thank you. It was highly unstable. It later on caused the planet to basically turn upside down on itself. But basically, that's a middle ground that you have to take with when you're role-playing the idea of the use of the protomatter. It could be used for great help or great harm. Some of the plots that I've seen so far from my fellow RPers are quite well done. Some people go that a minor faction of, say, a pirate group or something somehow got a hold of a protomatter shipment between Tinkethi and in one of their staging areas or something, and now have a protomatter bomb that they can basically use to terrorize star systems wherever. Others have gone to the point where, for humanitarian aid, they've actually had to jury-rig protomatter reactors to get started. Personally, if you have a great idea and you think it's going to work, go with it. No one can really shoot you down until you start seeing things clashing here and there with, I don't know, it's special reasons sometimes. It's always different for each role player. But trust me, it's new. We don't know the whole story for the new arc yet, so have fun with it. If the Tinkethi are in your area, go beat them up and make sure they don't take out a star system or two near you.
Heck yeah. Seems like y'all got some pretty good ideas floating around and everything. Definitely slap those Tinkethi around. Get revenge for them trying to shoot me out of the sky the other day. I mean, have fun with it and everything, you know.
So you hear that? You hear that, you role players that already knows? You gotta get revenge for trying to shoot Chris out of the sky.
Not that I would ever
That's
suggest
your new
such a
task.
thing. Yeah,
Your
definitely.
your shipbuilder was shot.
Yeah, definitely some good ideas there and everything, and be interesting to hear how some of y'all do with the new Protomatter and everything. And I know I want to hear more about the new Protomatter story and how they're going to use that for the Tinkethi stuff myself. But anyways, that's what we have for the show this evening. We'll have all this stuff in the notes for you guys so you can check it out and whatnot, and hopefully read the RP blogs, check out the patch notes, all that good stuff. Like we were saying, if you have bugs, feel free to submit them to any of us. They can make sure that it gets to me. You can contact me directly in game if you've got my @tag that Neela was kind enough to post there.
Yes.
And everything. Just say, hey, I saw the thing for pilot review and I wanted to give you this bug, everything.
And open the email with, I broke it. It'll give him an aneurysm.
See, it's
And
a
he'll
game
probably
with these
figure out what
people.
it is.
See what he puts up with.
Yeah, it's a game with these people. Whoever
Yep,
can make me go
it
insane
is.
first must win a prize or something. That's what I'm convinced of. But as well, if you have any ship builds you want to submit to us, maybe for a budget build, everything, feel free to let us know. If you want us to help you out with your piloting, feel free to submit a video to us as well, letting us know what you're looking to improve on, everything, and we'll see about getting you guys some help, and we'll help you guys as much as we can. But hopefully y'all found the information informative. Hopefully you're able to put some of that information to use, everything. And hopefully you got a good laugh at our expense when it comes to the brain farting and the forgetting of the articles and all that good stuff. But that's what we have for a show this week, folks. Hopefully you'll join us again next week and everything. But for now, this is the Pilot Review Show. And we're warping out of here.
See ya!
Have fun. See you on the other side.